Okay, there's something I wanted to touch on here. Long-term injury reserve. Henrik Zetterberg will be placed on long-term injury reserve. So yes, my video stated he was retiring because, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not going to bloody play again, you're retired. But this is the problem with the NHL's current salary cap system. So I just went and grabbed some names. I know there's likely going to be others, and I understand the loophole doesn't show up anymore as being under contract. But he was famously saying last year that I'm fine. The Leafs just keep me on LTIR because I want to stay under the cap. Which cap manipulation has been part of what all of this really is. So Zetterberg, Johan Franzen, Marian Hossa, Dave Boland, Nathan Horton, David Clarkson are all examples of guys who currently will show as counting under the cap. But they'll come in because twice a year they have to get checked to verify that they're still, well, physically incapable of playing. And then they go on the long-term injury reserve, which is the plan. Now, when a player's on the long-term injury reserve, insurance can cover up to 80% of that player's salary. So if you're the Arizona Coyotes, right? You see where I'm going with this? You got to get to that salary cap floor. You can take on a Chris Pronger for 6 years. You can take on Pronger for as long as it takes. He counts against your cap, you get to the floor, and then the insurance covers 80% of the cost, which when a guy makes $4 or $5 million, that's a lot of money you're saving. And you likely got a pretty decent return as well. It's frustrating as a hockey fan to watch this. I've honestly had the opinion the whole way through that it just looks silly. When you have guys who are never going to play hockey again, they can't retire, and we'll say, well, they're never going to play again. And then when you know, as I've said, I consider it retirement. People go, well, he's not retired. Technically, no, but they're saying he's never playing again, and the player's agreeing he's never going to play again. So yeah, he's retired. That's retired. If you go to work and you say, hey, where's Frank? They go, Frank's not working anymore. He's staying at home. Oh, so Frank retired? No, we put him in the long-term injury reserve. Insurance is paying him. He's going to get his Medicare, but he's still technically a worker here. Well, that's retirement. No, he has to stay on the long-term injury reserve for the next 4 years. Then he can retire, but nothing changes. Nope. That's why I consider it retirement. It's silly, and when people talk about the next collective bargaining agreement, this is going to be an issue. You have to allow teams to do one of two things. Pay these guys out up front. Just here you go. Which happens. These guys will get paid. The salary cap stays whatever the salary cap is. These guys are going to get paid, and they can just pay them up front. Just let them buy them out. Or they just retire. You know, years gone by, a guy would retire, and it would be, wow, he would have made $6 million this year, chose to retire instead. Okie dokie. Let them all do it. It shouldn't matter how much they're making or how long their contract is if they're going to retire. It's weird, and it goes back to when the salary cap came in, and they said, okay, this is cost certainty, and then they felt there was cap manipulation going on. This is still cap manipulation. Absolutely. Because look at Johan Franzen, right? He counts under Detroit's cap, and then he goes on long-term injured reserve on the 1st of October or whenever it is this year. And then they've got that cap space. And you can be a certain amount over the cap during the summer. So it's really not a problem. They could just buy him out. Just let him retire. He's never playing again. It is this kind of ridiculousness that it looks, to me, it looks Bush League. That you have a salary cap system where these guys can get paid. It doesn't count against the cap. And yet the NHL wants to make sure that this system stays in place. Why? It's not working. Because those crappy contracts, guys just don't retire. Oh, you've got a long-term contract. Oh, you're over 35 years of age. Well, don't retire. Just stick around. Because that was the idea, was for contracts like Hossa's, which was 12 years when it was signed, the idea was, okay, we're going to make sure that those teams get penalized for those contracts. And they didn't. If Luongo, let's say Luongo at the end of this year says, man, I'm done. He's not going to retire. He's going to go on long-term injured reserve. probably with the Canucks. My guess would be that Florida would go to Vancouver and say, hey, he's retiring. And Luongo's a nice guy. Luongo wouldn't want to retire and see that recapture penalty go to Vancouver. So I could see him saying, yeah, all right, you can trade my rights to Vancouver. I'm done playing. And then he just stays on the long-term injured reserve. Because at 40 years of age and with the numbers of game, the number of games that Luongo's played, I'm sure there would be some reason that a trainer would say, yeah, he can't play. That a doctor would say, yeah, he can't play. So again, they get checked twice a year. These guys are never playing again. It's so weird. It is so bizarre. Or even, this, thinking about it this way, let's just say that Luongo gets hurt and goes on LTIR and retires that way. Or he just says, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to play the game anymore. And then there's recapture penalty of the Canucks. It doesn't make any sense. The system is weird. So that I see them working this out in the next agreement. I think these guys will be this situation should be gone, I would think, with the next agreement. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through and you just happen upon this video. So again, when you see a guy on a team's roster and you go, wait, that guy hasn't played in ages, and then he just goes on the long-term injured reserve, or when you see these trades being made by teams like Florida or Arizona, a team that might be looking to just get up to the cap floor, and Florida's spending money now like they didn't used to, but Arizona's still a team that's, yeah, we'll take that cap hit because they know insurance will cover about half of it or more than half of it. It's a weird system, and there are always going to be GMs that find ways to game the system. So let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And let's see who else goes in on the long-term injured reserve rather than retiring this season. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.